Greetings, everyone, and welcome in to another Johnny Torch Live, number 53. We've got our number 79th edition of the Torch News Roundup tonight, bringing you all the news you need to hear, and maybe some news you don't need to hear, from stately Torch Tower here, perched high above civilization below, on a very gloomy, gray, rainy day here at Torch Tower. But we're bringing you some excitement, bringing a ray of sunshine into your life, as it were, by just the sheer glow of the program. So let's hope that it touches you very deeply as it does me as we go through some of these very cool stories that have broken either this week or in recent weeks. And we'll start off here with a story that I uh, kind of forgot to get to a couple of weeks ago, but I still got it here in my notes. But there has been some updates in this story. Josh Boone, who has directed New Mutants, I guess it's fair to say he has directed the New Mutants movie because the movie pretty much wrapped and was set to be released this year in, I believe, March or April. But the film's release date has been pushed back to February 22nd, 2019, virtually a full year from now. Now, the reason for this delay is supposedly so that it doesn't impede with Deadpool 2, but that's kind of suspect logic. The real reason is because they are going to tone down the film from an R rating to a PG-13 rating, which makes the most sense because obviously you want to get more money, you want to get more people seeing the movie, you want to make a PG-13. So they're scaling back some of the scenes and reshooting their level release. According to Josh Boone, the director, he says, "This movie is probably the hardest PG-13 ever made. I mean, we've pushed it. The horror is pretty dark, but there's also an emotional core, too. If I can scare you and make you cry, that's the goal." So apparently he's not trying to soften this movie in any way from its original rated R underpinnings, but they are conforming to what Marvel wants them to do, which is make it a PG-13 film. Again, I'm not crazy about horror, so I don't really know how excited I am for this movie. I'm not too familiar with the New Mutants, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Of course, the the years worth of time it takes them here to reshoot some of this stuff. Will people still be interested in another full year? That's the one thing that I'm concerned about because we have so much on the plate that's gonna potentially change the landscape of superhero movies. I mean, we've got Infinity War, Black Panther, the reemergence of DCEU with Aquaman. I just wonder how this is going to look a full year from now. Maybe this was the better time to release it, although, I guess arguably putting it smack dab in between Black Panther and Infinity War isn't probably the safest strategy. All right, so February 22nd, 2019 is our new release for New Mutants. Let me know in the comments below what you think about a potential New Mutants movie. Again, I don't know a whole lot about New Mutants. I don't know too many of the characters, but I don't know. Now that it's PG-13, maybe I'll be more interested because I'm not a big horror fan. They're pushing the boundaries of it apparently, so I don't know. Again, apologies for no images podcast because just can't get them to function on this laptop. I can't get those images to upload. So bear with me. This is more of a podcast format. So if you're used to podcasts, that's basically what we can call this from now on. You just hear my melodious voice and use your mind's eye pointing to my temple as they used to back in the days of classic radio dramas, radio comedies. I'm a big fan of Same, so this is a chance for you to use your imagination. Okay, the next big story we have here. This is a pretty big story that's breaking. It's still rumor as of now, but Joaquin Phoenix has reportedly began talks with Warner Brothers to play the Joker in Todd Phillips' Joker origin movie. Now, this is the same movie that Scorsese is behind. He's producing this one, and everybody got excited a couple of months ago back in I think October it was, that Scorsese is producing a Joker origin film. Of course, many among us then said, "Do we really need a Joker origin film?" I mean, not too many people really want to see that because that kind of takes the mystique away from the Joker. Of course, we already have Jared Leto as the Joker in Suicide Squad and apparently in the DC Cinematic Universe, should they choose to elect to decide to continue on with him, which apparently they will. But this is going to be completely separated from the DCEU. This is a standalone film. Again, another reason why I'm not sure why we need it, but apparently the pair met director Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix before the new year, and apparently it's a done deal, but Warner Brothers has not given the green light on this yet. They're apparently awaiting the studio's approval, according to International, which is where I got this, which is, I guess, a UK website. Don't always give my sources, but there's one. All right. Warner Brothers has not commented on the situation. So, what do you think about Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker? This is interesting because originally the MCU courted Joaquin Phoenix to play Doctor Strange back in the day, about 2 years ago. And he sort of hemmed and hawed about it for quite a while before they finally went their separate ways. And of course, we got Benedict Cumberbatch, who was just as good, if not better, to what Joaquin could have done as Doctor Strange. So I don't know if this is something that, once again, is going to be something that he's going to court with and dance with until finally he decides not to do it. I find it hard to believe that this movie's even going to get made, to be totally honest with you. But suppose it does get made. Is this what you want to see? A Joker origin film starring Joaquin Phoenix, produced by Scorsese, directed by Todd Phillips. Eh, I don't know. I don't know that we really need a Joker origin movie. That's the reason why I've been sort of reluctant to heap any enthusiasm upon it. But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, next up we have a sad bit of news here. Reg E. Cathy, or Kathy, I don't know how you pronounce his name to be totally honest with you, but Reggie Cathy has passed on at the age of 49, reportedly from a long bout of cancer. Uh, Kathy was in Luke Cage, which is our tie-in to the superhero world, but he was also set to play the wizard Shazam in the upcoming Shazam film starring Zachary Levi. Now, I don't know if they even began shooting that. I don't think they have. So apparently, he's going to be completely. His role is going to be completely recast. I don't believe he even began shooting filming for Shazam. But he passed on at age 59 on February 9th of this past week. So very sad. Our condolences to Reg's family. And I hear that he is still going to appear in season 2 of Luke Cage. That's already been shot, or at least his scenes have already been shot, and he'll be included in that. So we still have more of Reg to see in the future. But yeah, sad news. Apparently, Shazam will continue on without him. All right, so next up, this is a story that I was afraid, and apparently we still got to hear it. David Goyer apparently leaving the Masters of the Universe movie. What is it going to take to get a He-Man movie made? It's been literally 30 years now since Dolph Lundgren first made the scene as He-Man. And after the date was set for December 18th, 2019, a release date for a Masters of the Universe movie, now David Goyer is departing as director, adding his name to like about 5 others who's already left the project. It says that Variety reports that Goyer decided to step away as director to focus on other projects. He will remain on board as an executive producer and screenwriter because he did write the screenplay for this Masters of the Universe film coming up. Apparently, the release date is still in play. They need another director. director number 6 probably. I think it's been 5 directors they already had leave the project, but the date for the new He-Man movie is still set for December 18th, 2019. That's only a year away, basically. And you would imagine that they need a lot of special effects for a He-Man movie. I mean, if they're going to do it right. A lot of criticism that the 80s movie gets is that there wasn't a very big budget and there wasn't a whole lot of special effects. For its time, they managed to capture enough special effects, but considering you want to see Battle Cat, you want to see Orko, you want to see some of these characters that are known from He-Man, they're not going to be able to really do them without a big budget special effect. And you need time to get that done, which is why Venom wasn't in the Venom trailer. We'll get to that later. But so they got to get on this pretty fast. And I don't believe that the Masters of the Universe movie will be released in a year. It's probably going to take, you know, we're going on 2 years here, but I'm trying to say that you need to, get these things finalized so that you can have the special effects budget done. But let me know what you think here in the comments below. It takes about 2 movies to get I mean, it takes about 2 years to get these movies done, and they are really riding on the wave of danger here for the Masters of the Universe movie. Really wanna see a Masters of the Universe movie, it's about time. But again, nobody seems to wanna take this, directorial reins to this film. Who else was, involved with it? McG, I think. There was the guy that directed the G.I. Joe movie. A lot of people have had their names attached, but just don't wanna direct, I don't know. All right, so here we go to the rumor side of things. We have Sebastian Stan was asked at Wizard World what DC character he'd like to play in the DCEU. If he wanted to play a character in the DCEU, who would he play? And he suggested the Riddler, which is a very interesting choice. I don't ever particularly seen him as the Riddler, but that is a pretty interesting choice. He said, and I quote, "Honestly, I would not know what to do with the character at all, but it's such a crazy, crazy character. Maybe I wouldn't." So, for all of those of you out there hoping to see Sebastian Stan carry on in the DCEU, maybe it's the Riddler. Maybe that's the choice for the Riddler that we need. If it's not the choice we want, it's the choice we need. But let me know what you think in the comments below about that one. Would you like to see a Sebastian Stan Riddler in the Batman movie with Ben Affleck? Sticking to the Batman news here, we've got Chris McKay, director of the Nightwing movie that's upcoming, giving us a little news. He said some time ago that around Valentine's Day he would give us an update on the status of the Nightwing movie. So his quote is, "Hi, some early Valentine's Day news. Nightwing script expected very soon." That's good. "Working on Ripple-Matic to show studio." I have no idea what that is. "This is going to be a long process, so don't expect casting news anytime soon. We are taking our time. Expect big things from DC, Jeff Johns, and WB team. Exciting year ahead." So that's good. That's exciting because when they were listing off names of superhero movies that were up, to be made in the coming year, we had Batgirl, but no sign of Nightwing. So it's good to see that the wheels are still turning on Nightwing, and that's still going to get done. Apparently, they're working very hard on it now. Colton Haynes, who plays Arsenal or who played Arsenal on Arrow, which I really liked. I wished he would have stood with the show. I hope he comes back. Uh, he left a tweet saying Nightwing, simply Nightwing, and then said it's going to be a great year. Now, a lot of people are taking this to mean he's been cast as Nightwing or he's approached the director to play Nightwing, throwing his hat in the ring. I don't really think they're going to give him the role because even though, he would be a good choice, he's a sidekick already to Arrow. I'd rather see him back on Arrow than see him as Nightwing. But, this is what a lot of, actors do when they want to kind of put their hat in the ring and they just want to get some fan feedback as to whether they can snowball this enthusiasm and bring it over to the studio. So he's cast for the role, but we'll see. All right, now meanwhile, a few brief days ago as well, he didn't give us a whole lot of time, but so uh Chris McKay also put this up on Twitter, a poll. If you were to cast Nightwing, what is the most important quality you would look for in an actor? So this is very nice of him to give the fans some kind of input on what to look for as a as a director. And the choices are, and you can still, if you're listening to this live or you're listening to this still on Sunday, which is what it is today, you could probably find this tweet on his website, on his Twitter page. So check it out if you want to have your voice heard. But the four choices he put down were recognizable movie star, bad bleep martial artist, Romany, and vulnerable emotional. Now, my choice there was vulnerable emotional because when you look at all these other choices, none of them really pertain to the quality of actor, the quality of acting. Recognizable movie star doesn't necessarily make you a good fit or a good actor. Martial artists, really, you could just use a stuntman if you want to do some real spectacular stunt work. As long as the guy can act, is what's really the important factor. And Romany, I don't know. This is just sort of like one of those politically correct things because I guess apparently in the comics, Dick Grayson has some gypsy background with his parents being of Romany descent, I guess. Anyhow, Romany came in fourth so far with 16% of the vote. Oh no, actually, recognizable movie star came in fourth with 15% of the vote. Looks like the poll has changed a little bit since I looked at it a moment ago, but it's a close one between those two. Romany is in third place with 16% of the vote. In second place with 21% of the vote, vulnerable emotional, and in first place, martial artist with 48% of the vote. So this is kind of interesting. Would you prefer to have a martial artist or a emotional actor? I don't really know that Nightwing is that emotional of a character, but it seems like the closest thing towards acting skill, which is on the poll. So, like I said, check that out on Twitter on Chris McKay's Twitter page. I don't know really how to. I'd have to spell his Twitter handle for you at Bud Botcheter. I don't know. I'm not even going to try. But anyhow, check that out if you want to. Uh, Also here, and I lost the not very good when you lose your sources, but I was also looking up some of the stuff that's already been said about the movie from Chris McKay, and it says that he's admitted to the film nods to Dick Grayson's past in Haley's Circus, so that's good. They're still making him a circus boy. Now that's one of the things. Now, if you're going to make a Robin movie or a Nightwing movie, a Dick Grayson movie, in other words, you have to have the circus background. I don't like this whole thing where they change it, like sort of the John Blake Dark Knight Rises thing, where he was a policeman and then, well, okay, he's going to become, this sort of like their version of Nightwing. You got to have the circus aspect. That's the whole story. I don't know if they're going to have any flashbacks of Batman in it. That would really be cool that we get the origin story of Robin slash Nightwing with some flashbacks. That would probably be cool. I think that's the way to do it because you want to kind of acclimate the audience because I don't think too many people outside of the superhero realm, the big fans like us, probably don't know who Nightwing is. They know Dick Grayson, they know he's Robin, but they don't know that he graduated to Nightwing. So you really do need that background story. This is not like a Spider-Man situation where everybody goes, everybody knows Spider-Man's origin. Everybody knows Superman's origin. A lot of people don't know Nightwing's origin. They don't know that he was Robin, and you need to bring them up to speed that Robin or Nightwing was Robin. So I think that's important. He also said that a serious premium is being placed on the action. McKay even went on to admit thinks the film will force the Oscars to create a stunt category. So they're looking at some high flying action here, which makes sense because Dick Grayson, being a uh, trapeze artist, he knows all that flying around and stuff, and you want to see him be able to do that. So that's going to be cool. So yeah, all right, that's our news update there on Nightwing, the motion picture. And now, without further ado, we're going to break down that Venom trailer that just came out, starring Tom Hardy. Hardy, har har. Tom Hardy's Venom. Now, there was a big backlash over this trailer because apparently there's no Venom in the trailer, and people actually thought you were going to see Venom in a teaser trailer for the Venom movie. Now, that might sound comical, but like I said, the special effects needed for this film is not going to be ready at this time. The film doesn't come out until October, and I knew there weren't going to be any real shots of Venom. It was just going to be maybe the slightest intimation of Venom in the trailer itself, and so I wasn't disappointed on that score. Excuse me while I sip a little of the old H2O. All right, so the trailer starts here. We have Eddie Brock in a MRI machine. Obviously, he's already bonded with the symbiote, it appears, and they're checking him out. Then we get some shots of Eddie hanging around town, walking the streets, going into grocery stores, whatever convenience stores. We get a glimpse of Michelle Williams, who's going to play the love interest. I don't remember the character's name, but apparently she was in the comics too. Then we see what is apparently a body under a sheet. And remember, this is going to be an R-rated film, so that's the reason why you're going to see this kind of stuff. That's what the R rating is for. I don't really know what that comes from. Is that an alien body that they found from spacecraft that had the symbiote in it? Or is this one of Venom's victims? Is this one of Carnage's victims, which apparently Carnage is the villain here? I don't know if that's been confirmed at this point. Riz Ahmed is seen briefly where he's opening up the truck where the symbiote is in a jar. Then we see the accident scene with a spaceship. Apparently, that's a spaceship. We just get a brief glimpse of it. I don't know, but the SWAT teams are swarming over the alleged spaceship. Then we see some action scenes. Eddie running, riding a motorcycle, bit of a car chase, falling into the water. Presumably, that's him. One of the most interesting things is it looks like he's using the force push at one point. Venom knows the force. I don't know. I think that was just cut together to look like that because if you see the background, it looks completely different. The force push looks like it's going through a office building, and he's like on the ground, like in front of a fireplace or something. I don't even remember what it was, but it looked like it was in a home, in a residence or something, and he just puts his hand up. I think that's just cut together to look cute so that people will have some kind of perspective on the powers of Venom. But that really isn't a power of Venom, and I don't think that's going to be something that's going to be brought to the character. I think that's something that is just cut to look that way. And then he spazzes out on the hospital bed, and he's like just shaking up a storm because because the symbiote is, you just subtly see it in his skin, and Tom Hardy is like a good choice for this because he really has that quality. It's funny because he played one of like the most useless 90s characters for Batman and Bane and actually made something interesting from him. And now he's going to play one of the most useless characters from Spider-Man, Venom, and actually make something interesting out of him. I think this is going to be pretty good. I think he's going to do a good job. I think they're going to get it right. At least I hope so. Now the problem is Spider-Man's not going to be in this movie. Now, the rumor has it that Tom Holland is going to have a cameo as Peter Parker. I don't know how they're going to fit that in, especially since the beginning you see the San Francisco Bridge, and this is going to take place in San Francisco while Spider-Man lives in New York, which kind of makes sense because then you won't have people saying, "Where's Spider-Man? Where's Spider-Man? Why isn't he taking out Venom?" Because Spider-Man's in New York right now while he's in San Francisco. That's like a full United States of America away from each other. But I don't know how long they can really keep, because they're trying to make Venom the anti-hero, but how long can they keep him away from Spider-Man? Because he's basically a Spider-Man villain, and I don't really know that making him an anti-hero really is gonna quell that desire to want to see Spider-Man take on Venom. I think we still all want to see that. I mean, we got that in Spider-Man 3. A lot of people didn't like that movie. I liked it a lot, but truth be told, there could be more that you could do with Venom. He was just killed off very unceremoniously at the end of that film. So let's get to the narration first before we wrap up. The narration, I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but he says, "Everyone's got that thing. Everyone's got their thing. You used to be one thing. Now you're something else." So that was pretty cool, especially with Hardy's voice. One of the great things about Hardy as an actor is his voice. He's got that very strange, unusual voice, and he put on that Bane voice for Bane. But he's come up with a pretty cool voice for Venom here. It sounds like. I can't wait to see what he sounds like when he's actually doing lines as Venom. I imagine they'll use a vocoder or something on his voice and use that. But yeah, very interesting. Everyone's got their thing. You used to be one thing, now you're something else. And that pretty much sums up Venom in a nutshell. Then we see the Venom face, which, is, not going to be, indicative of what the character's going to look like, but it's just like a promo poster shot. And we get the music. Now, the music really impressed me. The music was very good. I think if that is Venom's theme, which, the film hasn't been scored most likely. So I don't know if that was just a bit of music that they found that they, had somebody just throw together. But keep that music in the film. That was very exciting, and it felt like Venom music. It felt like it had the kind of drive. Because I think what this movie is going to explore nature of Eddie Brock, that dual nature where he's learning to live with something that's taking him over. And it's not so much like even like an Incredible Hulk thing where he has two different personalities that take over one at a time. No, he's trying to learn to live with a different persona that's with him 24 hours a day that is fighting for room. And it's not taking over, but it's constantly in his head. And he's got to try to fight which impulse he's going to give into. Is he going to act more like Venom, or is he going to act more like Eddie Brock? Because remember, they talk as one. When they're Venom, he says, "We are Venom." And that's something I really want to see. And I think that's going to be exciting. That's what I'm looking forward to the most from this film. All right, so let me know what you think about the Venom motion picture that is coming out soon, starring Tom Hardy. Hardy har har. And before we move on here for the night, let me take a look here, as I am wont to do. I like to read some viewer comments. I got another viewer comment here on my Phantom of the Opera video. Why can't I bring it up? I don't know. Of course, talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes while I try to pull up the comments. All right, here they are. Not too hard to find. All right, this comment was from Ilzebiel. I hope that's how you pronounce it, but uh, in reference to my Phantom of the Opera Claude Rains movie review. He or she says, "I like this version because the Phantom is portrayed as a meek individual who suffers a mental breakdown. Claude Rains' version is not a ravaging psycho or villainous mastermind or inherently evil at the outset. I'd argue he wasn't even lovesick either. His interactions with Christine weren't really suggestive of a burning romantic love, at least not to me. I appreciate the original script's implication of a paternal love and wish they had officially gone with that, as I felt it would have made a decent alternative version to the story and worked better with Rain's portrayal, not to mention their age differences. I like all of the mannerisms, twitches, movements, tics, and postures, etc. Rains brings to the role, as it's what I'd imagine it would look like if a meek individual went crazy." All right, so thank you for your comments, Elzebiel. That is a great movie, that Phantom of the Opera. I get a lot of views on that. That's one of my most popular. I think it's my second most popular video I made reviewing that. I'm gonna disagree a little bit here with the commenter. I don't really like that intimation they were trying to do with was Claudine, her father. I didn't really like that kind of change to the story. Again, they, because he was so much older than her, I think they kind of felt they wanted to apologize for and possibly making that the resolution in the script that it was really her father all along. But that's not Phantom of the Opera. That's not really the real core of that story. It's really a cry of, unrequited love. That's what the Phantom really represents to me anyway. Again, you can have a lot of people uh find something different in a story, but to me that's what the whole nature of it is that he embraced madness because he was lovesick, and his whole world was so tightly wrapped up in Christine that he allowed it to make him something ugly, uglier than his face. Because his face is ugly enough, but he became ugly on the inside. And arguably he was that from the beginning, but I think that's kind of what the emotional core of that story is. So thank you once again for the comment. All right, I want to take a look at. I got a couple of subscribers here that I want to thank. Let's see, Blast It or Stash It has joined the ranks of our of our esteemed colleagues here at the Torch News Roundup, and thank you for joining us. Let's see. Also, we have. Ugh, I can't seem to access this page very well, and it is a bummer. We also have the Curious Low, who was the longtime member of subscribers to the show, but apparently resubscribed and is now we're following each other on Twitter. So I want to thank the Curious Low for her continued support. And so thanks once again to all of you who have joined the show, who have hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, share the video as much as you can. We don't get a whole lot of feedback here on the show, but if you enjoy the show, be sure to let me know, and you will have my everlasting gratitude. I don't think anybody has seen the This Week in Comic Book Television video from last week, or technically yesterday. It's a new week now, but technically yesterday. So be sure and check that out. I'm sure I'll be putting that up in the images over here in a moment. Also, before we close the show, not sure when the next Torch News Roundup is going to be. Usually try to do the show on Wednesday, but since I'm doing it on a Sunday today, no idea when the next show is going to be. We've got the usual Saturday show, which is the This Week in Comic Book Television show, where we review all of our comic book episodes of the week. We have Legends of Tomorrow taking over for Supergirl this week, but also we'll be taking on Arrow, Flash, and Black Lightning. Make sure you check out the link in the description below for The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. Hoping to have some exciting news for you on that score pretty soon. Still working very hard on the number 5 issue. And also check out the work from home page that I have there, because that is very important. That's a very interesting thing to look into and see if that's for you, because you know like I've said many times before, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not going to be something that's going to keep you in filthy lucre for years and years to come. But if you can just spare 5 to 15 minutes a day doing the emails and the clicks, really, it's worth your while, because it'll pay for a box of macaroni and cheese for dinner a day. Let's look at it that way. Is it worth it if you can afford a box of macaroni and cheese a day? Isn't it worth the time and effort? All right. Check out the Twitter link as well in the description below, and you can follow me on Twitter where you can do the poll of the week. We have the poll of the week question, where it's a very popular question this week. I actually didn't think this was going to be a popular question. I said this is going to get me like 20 votes, but actually, I've done very well with this one. Let's see what the current status of the poll is right now. We have the question is, should DC replace the late and legendary Adam West and continue making 60s Batman movies, animated movies, or should the character, the iconic incarnation of Batman, 60s Batman, be retired with West's passing? So far, with 135 votes, 79% say no West, no 60s Batman. So they want the character retired. Also, 21% say cast a new actor and make more animated movies. So you still have time to check that out. 5 days left on that poll. 135 votes so far cast. A couple more stories I was going to get to, didn't get a chance to get to, but we'll get to them probably next week. Also, let's see. This was the first Sunday without football, so it was another reason why we had time to do a Torch News roundup. A Torch News roundup. We have the Olympics going on, which I've been trying to keep some interest in, some ongoing, one eye on the Olympics. So let me know what you think about the show. Let me know what you think about the topics we have covered and discussed. And once again, this is Johnny Torch reminding you, keep that flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.